So who do you wanna be? What do you wanna know? And when you find out, tell me really slow. Do you wanna live in fear? Let love rule. Bring people closer, divide up, be cruel. It's up to you. It's up to you. It's up to you. Oh, it's up to you. Under a broken disco ball, we feel intoxicated by the room, filled with junkie losers, flunkies, all trying to be cool. I straighten my red jacket and feel myself at home, faking confidence with the best, making memories with our phones. Outside the world is on fire, and it's getting harder to breathe. Inside the music feels so good. Why would I want to broken from last night's disaster. I had my fun, but did I find the answers? Was I looking for amusement, looking for a moment? Looking for a way to conquer my opponent. I fell to my knees, I looked up to the stars. Could you give me a moment? Could you give me a sign? Am I on the right path, or have I fallen behind? I'm perpetually tired from dim-lit desires, searching for the truth. Could you give me a moment? Yeah. Now I feel that I'm bankrupt in more ways than one. And my luck, I'm out of touch, and my time is done. I'm pacing the floor, asking how I got here. I wanted to heal, but instead I took the devil and his deals. I fell to my knees, I looked up to the stars. Could you give me a moment? Could you give me a sign? Am I on the right path, or have I fallen
just play it by ear.
Oh shit, then I need my mini just in case.
Good evening, everybody! Welcome to Color Guards. We are a live stream Let's Play of Dungeons & Dragons that airs every Sunday night at 7 p.m., as many of our followers and thankful subscribers do know. We are going to be playing a Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition game set in the Magic the Gathering world of Ravnica, using the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica sourcebook. For those of you who are unfamiliar with this is the first fully published material that crosses over Dungeons & Dragons and Magic the Gathering, and we are very proud of this fact, given that Wizards of the Coast, the producers of both, have really continued to push forward these coming years with their support of the LGBT community, so we wanted to show our support right back in supporting both lines with our live stream game. To start things off with a few announcements tonight, we do want to thank the fantastic members of the local band Svenny Baby, who provided the music for us starting up the stream, and you'll also be able to hear more of their music during the break and after the show as we kind of wrap things up. We want to thank them so much. Here on Color Guards, we are looking to continue to support local bands and local artists who do have members from the LGBTQ community. So if you yourself or anybody that you know is a member of such a band and wants to have their music featured on our live streams as we do so, please reach out to us. We're so happy to continue supporting all the local artists and all the local members of the LGBTQ community as much as we can. We do want to let y'all know that, as you can see, we are unfortunately down a member tonight, but Jonathan, who plays Lucian Zulzaxos, is actually a member of the band Svenny Baby that you just heard their music for. They're off fabulously playing in Denton this evening. We want to thank them so much and also wish them luck in kicking all of the ass that they can out there tonight. We are now Twitch affiliates. We did it. We did the thing. We are incredibly excited and so completely stoked and thankful for all of you guys and all of your support for this. We could not be here without all of you. We encourage all of you to continue getting folks to follow us, continue getting folks to subscribe. If you are an Amazon Prime member, you get one free Twitch Prime subscription every single month. You do have to manually resubscribe that subscription, but it is completely free for you and just continues to support the stream and allows us to create more content and allows us to continue to grow this as much as possible. We are so incredibly thankful and so incredibly grateful for everything that you all have done for us. This very short amount of time. We've only been streaming for a month and we're already here. We're so incredibly pumped. So again, thank you guys so much. Thank you to our current 7 subscribers. That number might change tonight, but currently, as of the start of this stream, we are sitting at 7 subscribers, so we really want to thank you guys so much for your support. And for those of you who might consider subscribing, we do please do. If you are not quite ready to subscribe and you're kind of watching along with us tonight, you can also follow our channel and you'll have access to all of the video on demands from our channel from past episodes. If you are still getting caught up on Color Guards and you're tuning in for the very first time, we do have the video on demand of our first 2 episodes back to back that we did a special restream of a couple weeks ago. And this coming weekend, given that this is episode 4, we are going to be restreaming episodes 3 and 4 back to back with commentary from myself and other members of the cast and crew that'll be stopping in to chat during that restream to answer questions, give you a little bit more insight into the decisions that we made, into the story beats that were explored during this time, just to kind of give you an idea like how things went on this end, since we can't answer those questions always right at the drop whenever you guys are in chat communicating with us during the week to week. If y'all have any other questions, feel free to hit us up in chat. Ourselves will be checking in during the break, as well as our fantastic director of photography and executive producer, Zane, who's on chat with us under the Color Guard's name, and we're more than happy to answer any questions or concerns you guys might have, or help answer any rules questions that you guys might have for those of you who aren't familiar with Dungeons & Dragons, as some of us are currently.
Yes.
With that, I think we are good to go, so we're going to go ahead and do a quick recap of where things ended up last week here on Color Guards. So last week in episode 3, the party found themselves continuing the exploration of these strange Thopter devices that they found amidst the public display on the Transguild Promenade. Just at this point, a day or two ago, it would seem. They found out by investigating a warehouse that these devices were being manufactured by multiple groups and being put together. And they found the delivery location for one of these devices' lenses to a location up near where the Azorius Senate, one of the 10 guilds of Ravnica, are currently trying to build a maximum security facility named Udzek by repurposing lands from the Selesnya Conclave and the Gruul clans. So they found a location where these parts were being delivered near Beast Haven, the lands of the Selesnya Conclave that were being repurposed by the Azorius. The party arrived to meet with a Vidalcan woman named Zloval, who was an excommunicated Izzet engineer who had been developing these devices for the Azorius Senate. She admitted to being hired out by them, and that she was kicked out of the Izzet for her experiments and for her technology that she was focusing on. The party continued to explore the fact that she herself was the one who was putting all these together, but it was not her design. She was not the one who had put the design together herself. She was merely implementing it and refining it for the Azorius Senate. Not long before, the party was met with a chaotic scene right outside her warehouse at a grotto that the Azorius Senate was trying to reclaim for their project. Unfortunately, a number of members of the Azorius Senate, as well as Selesnian members, a dryad and a guardsman, unfortunately were attacked by rampaging drakes who had made their nest within this grotto. And being approached by a dryad, the party was convinced to head in and try to quell the rampaging drakes so that they could at least stop the chaos and potentially save the lives of these creatures and those of the Selesnya around it, rather than the Azorius immediately acting out and doing what Azorius do best. The party ran into the grotto and managed to subdue both of the beasts through great work by Korak and Thone and the rest of the party assisting the more brawny, physical people. Assisting. Or Metal Gear soliding themselves underneath a crate.
Moral support.
It's great. They did it. The party managed to subdue these creatures and protect them from being outright slaughtered, and earned the favor of the dryad Dynia, who her and her sister were the main watchkeepers of this area. As they were trying to figure out what to do with the sabotaged supplies of the Azorius, Darrison and Thone worked together to sabotage many of the construction equipment that was ready to be purposed for the grotto, as well as a number of casks and barrels of explosive material to kind of like break ground in this grotto, and attempting to try to distance themselves from it and get rid of it. They found themselves back near Zloval's workshop, where unfortunately a very grisly sight was found, as Zloval was found dead at the floor of her workshop with a note from one mysterious individual that the party has seemed to cross multiple times now, by the name of Lady V, a mysterious woman with supposed ties to House Demir, one of the more espionage and spy-related agencies here on Ravnica. She left a note merely toying with Darrison, who had of course given Lucian's name whenever she caught him. Seemingly very upset at Darrison using his charming magic against her. The party at this point made their way out of the workshop with using Dinea's help and the help of these drakes that they had saved to create enough of a diversion for them to get away and to cover up any evidence that might point themselves at this unfortunate site that they found themselves in. So the party managed to make their way away from the workshop as the drakes just let loose mayhem inside this workshop. And began to devise a plan on where to go next. At this point, it's very clear that Lady V has some level of vast connection to what's going on, as she made way with a number of devices and items and tools that were directly used for the creation of these Thopter devices. And the party decided that Korak, having a contact in the Izzet League, was going to be accompanied by Lucian to try to get a little bit more information on how Zloval became excommunicated, what her connections were, did she still have connections within the League, any type of information that they could gather about this woman that somehow was seemingly connected to Lady V. And then later on in the evening, the party is going to gather back together and meet up with new contacts that Darrison seems to have made, with a number of goblins that were responsible for some of the activity back at the riots in the Transguild Promenade back in episode 1. Darrison made some good friends and was invited to their place of business in the Smelt Ward, which is their as you recall, it is their establishment that kind of acts as their cover for the gang, which is the Kindle Coal Pit in Precinct 6, right off of 10th Street, between 10th Street and the Smelt Ward. Okay. Those of you with a little bit more not lawful knowledge regarding Ravnica would know that there is currently a war going on between two rival street gangs of goblins. You have Krinkos, which is a goblins-only street gang that is located off of Foundry Street within the Smelt Ward. And then the Shattergang brothers, previously a trio, now unfortunately a duo due to some very unfortunate circumstances in the past, are leading a street gang of just unaffiliated, like unguild-affiliated members of Ravnica who want to find ways to subvert the system of the 10 guilds and find ways for those who are ungilded to actually have their voice heard. So they do a lot of property damage and explosions and burning of buildings and finding debt collector records and burning those. They find a lot of ways to shatter the societal implements of Ravnica. And they are currently at war with the Krinko Street gang of goblins, who are a goblin-only gang. So, we're going to start things off. The party has spread about their various ways, leaving Precinct 2. At this point, it's about midday.
Okay.
So, those of you that are not attending to the blister coils in Precinct 5, Korak and Lucian will be heading off there. The rest of you will be coming back to in just a minute. And we'll figure out what each of you go off and do as you kind of have the afternoon to yourselves to take care of business there. But Korak, you and Lucian, who of course is physically not here, but physically with you.
Yes.
Lucian wanted to attend with you so that he could keep a watch on things and make sure that at least the more physical, or at least the more lawful requirements of things were being attested to, so that you didn't get yourself into anything incriminating, given that you all find yourselves already in many incriminating incidents. So that if there are questions asked of the Is It, that it is in no way implicating questions asked of the Is It. So you guys make your way into the Blister Coils. And the Blister Coils are a neighborhood of workshops and laboratories. They are primarily inhabited by the Is It. However, they are just off of the reservoir from Zonnet 7, one of the primary locations of the Simic Combine within the 10th District. They are more of the physical scientists, the biologists. And they have their own laboratories, but they stay closer to the kind of reservoir dam that leads into Zonnet 7. So it is primarily a science district. There are absurd amounts of laboratories. As you guys are walking your way through, you can see buildings with tall areas for perusal of the night sky. You see tall Tesla coils, very shoddily built sometimes, pointing out of buildings, kind of collecting electricity and mana from the sky and the ether as it goes through to continue implementing in experiments. And you find your way to a ramshackled building that is more open than the other laboratories that you found. It's kind of in a midway point between what's considered more of the Simic side of the district and the Is It side. It's more close to the middle line than the others. And this is the main laboratory of one of your contacts from the Is It League, Kapesk. Kapesk is a Viashino engineer. Viashino are kind of lizard folk type a lizard folk type race here on Ravnica. And you have familiarity with Kapesk, as Kapesk is a Is It engineer who wants to find ways to recreate and reenact natural phenomena. Has an absolute obsession with storms and being able to recreate the lightning and the thunder that is found within, being able to recreate rainstorms at the drop of a hat through technology, and being able to find ways for technology to both recreate and control these elements of natural phenomena that are found within the world. Because if nature can do it, technology can do it just that much better.
Oh, definitely.
So you find your way in, and Lucian is very out of his element, and it's just kind of hanging back behind you and just kind of letting you take the lead, and just keeping watch. You see him mutter a law or two, dictating proper display and usage of technological devices and things like that, and how that Tesla coil is 2 feet too tall, and it is unfortunately 1 foot out within the walking distance of people. He's trying to maintain composure as best he can. And you all walk in, and this is a laboratory that's a little bit more open than the others. There is no ceiling area above it, and there are loose walls surrounding the first half as you kind of are walking into the laboratory. But all of the other walls and things are mesh grids, and some of them are almost wall-mounted planters to be able to kind of have plants continue grow up them and explore them, and being able to experiment with them that way. This is very much a laboratory that is just designed to let nature in so that it can contain it and control it in a way. And you see Kapesk far at the other end, trying to connect a wire from one of the coils over to a small workstation to be able to power it up. And you see him just struggling. He's just like, if I can just get it a little bit closer. And he's like holding the bracket at one end and really trying to just get it in, like, oh, Korak, and lets it go.
I was gonna
it
yell.
It just shikunk and slams back into the coil. It's like, oh, you're here, wonderful. Oh, it has been so long since I've gotten to see you. How are you doing?
I'm good. Are you shot up on electricity right now? Because you're very active.
Well, it's kind of the way I am at all times these days. And you can kind of watch, Kapesk at this point has these kind of like brass-covered gloves that cut down just at the tips of his clawed hands as a Viashino. And you can see his tail is now, the back half of it at the point is now covered in brass plates. And you can see like these faint trickles of electricity trailing down his arms and across his body and like arcing over to the tail at some point. It's like, I've been working on finding ways to consider myself more, or well, I'd say less prone to the electrical damage that my experiments would normally cause.
Well, good, because I need you. And I don't want you to fry up like other lizards.
You need me?
Yes.
Wonderful. Did you come for one of my devices? And he holds out a hand over, and you are looking at, like, shoddily made, definitely out of code, doesn't adhere to any of the safety regulations that probably should be. Like, there's a few guns, it looks like. One of them actually looks, and go ahead and give me a investigation check as you're kind of checking out the weaponry that he's pointing over to.
11.
Okay. So one of them, as you're looking through, catches your eye more than the others. Like, the rest of them look brilliant. There's probably a, like, flamethrower of sorts. There's one that actually acts as probably like a wind gun to be able to, like, generate large bursts of air. But the one that catches your eye most of all is one that looks like a handheld stun baton that you have seen before.
Would I know possibly is it any other guild-esque thing, or is it just... I mean,
you wouldn't know off the top of your head, and looking at it, it looks like it is designed in a way that is handheld, not how you've seen these attached to the
I was thinking
Thopters.
of the Thopters.
I was gonna say, whenever you see the actual bat portion of it, like the stun baton portion, it looks very similarly. It just looks like it is of a slightly larger design and designed to be handheld as opposed to attached to some type of flying device.
Well, that bat looks very interesting. I might get one of those, but I'm
It's
here
like
for something else.
This one here.
Yes.
Oh, see, this design has actually been going around the ISIT for quite some time now.
Has it?
I believe the person who did it, let me see. And you see him kind of like scurry really quickly over, and you see his tail actually kind of like whip over and like quickly pull open a file cabinet. And you see his hands and his tail all like very quickly like muddling through like files and papers, and this file cabinet is in no way organized. This is like the most chaotic mess of things you've ever seen. Like, think of like the file cabinet that pulls open and the papers are literally just frayed everywhere. And they probably had a like a file at some point. But the papers themselves are in no way in a uniform fashion. So eventually that file system failed miserably. And you see him pull one out, and he says, yes, I developed this. I don't recall the main developer of this one, but I believe you could probably find it in the ISIT annals of the official ISIT diagnostics, but I did be able to remake this for myself. Somebody else had it
Remake
attached
it.
to devices and things, but I decided that I wanted it more handheld. I wanted to hold the power of electricity in my hands. You understand.
Yes, which actually brings me to a great question. Hearing all that, me and my colleagues ran into somebody who was ex-Izzet named Sloval. Have you heard that name?
You met Slovol?
Oh, can you tell me more about Sloval?
Slovol's almost like an urban legend in the Izzet. Yes. See, Slovol herself had to be excommunicated from the League. Her specialties lied in communication and information gathering and devices that would be able to capture information from others. And you know, unfortunately, how many of us are. We are very, very tight-lipped as to the exact nature of our experiments and our tinkerings ourselves. And so members of the Izzet were actually terrified that she would turn this technology against them. So they put it to the higher-ups, and unfortunately, she was deemed unsafe even for Izzet purposes, which, as you can see, and he kind of like points over to his wall of weapon, and he's like, "It takes a lot to scare us."
Yes, which why that device really intrigued me. It seems
Are you talking about
the bat.
the bat?
Yes.
Yes. Why? Did she take that with her? Did she steal? Is it technology when she left?
That's why I came to you. I'm not sure. We saw this device very up closely that had this stun rod that seemed very close to your design.
Here.
Smaller.
And he kind of like gestures you over really quickly, over away to a separate one. And this one looks more like a drafting table. It's kind of like raised up a little bit on an incline. And he pulls over and he brings in this magnifying glass down onto this paper. And he like puts on a set of device, and it kind of like rings in a few times, like magnifying his lens as well, and it kind of like brings in here, and he kind of like continues looking through it. He's like, "All right, describe everything you can to me." And he kind of like holds up a piece of charcoal.
Flying device with a stun rod and some sort of Demir-esque lens.
What was the shape of it? What were its dimensions? How did it look? How did it fly?
You
What
really
was it?
expect me to know that? Me?
Human. And he just kind of like turns. He's like, you're with this one. Who is it? What? Who is this one?
This is one of my colleagues, Lucian of the not Azorius.
Orzhov.
Orzhov.
You're friends with an Orzhov these days. Korak, you keep such interesting company.
Oh,
You.
you're pretty interesting.
Orzhov! If I give you something, will you promise not to tell anybody what you're about to tell me and give me those dimensions, please? And Lucian just goes, okay. Begins to try to describe the general shape of the device and how it looked almost like butterfly wings coming out of the back of it. Like, it gets close, and you can like kind of like watch it. It goes, so kind of like this, like it looks probably like the closest that the two of you could get to actively describing this device. He goes, very interesting. I have never seen anything like this in the public records of the Izzet League. I could put feelers out to some of my other connections and contacts.
That would actually be great.
Great, wonderful. I'll reach out to those that I know that operate directly out of Nivix, and I can probably get some information back to you in the next day or so. How does that sound?
That's great. I've got some other business to attend to later in the day, so that's...
Wonderful! You can help me test out a device or two around that time
As
whenever
long as
I'm
I don't
done.
get shocked. That's fine. Don't shock me.
Sure, I can promise not to shock you. Writes down, don't shock.
But...
Also writes down a winky face next to it.
Oh, boy. speaking of all this Demir stuff, and this device.
Demir.
Well, the Demir, I mentioned that there was this lens thing, that the Demir. So it's kind of, that's why I was curious if you knew much about her, because there's another name that pops up.
I didn't know that she had connections with I mean, she's ex-Izzet at this point. She could have connections with anybody. Who did you say that she was working for on this project?
I don't know who she was working for. She was very, oh, I'm excommunicated. Nonsense.
Well,
Hiding.
You said Demir. Were the Demir the people who were making these devices that are
A
implementing
part
them?
of the device. There was this lens that captured memories, and it was Demir that we found. My colleagues found it was a part of it, and a name Lady Vey has popped up. Do you know anything of that?
I'm not familiar with that one. It's hard these days, when it comes to the Demir agents. At this point, who knows what they're capable of and who knows how they operate. You could be speaking to somebody who calls herself Lady Vey, and the very next day she's this poor beggar woman who introduces herself as Gertrude.
I thought I'd just ask. This device
Totally
isn't
understandable.
just Zloval's, it's multiple people's.
Were there are other guilds involved in this process?
So far, just a strange lady named Lady Vey with some Demir contact.
Lucian pops at this point and says that I do think that the Zorius hired her out, but I don't think that they're the only ones who were involved in this. I think that Korak is right in that it goes beyond just the Demir or even the Azorius. And she goes, that's very interesting. I've never heard of multiple guilds working together on some type of device like this.
Well, you've heard of this maximum prison being built
Ooh,
upon my
yes.
land in Selesnians.
Don't worry, those of us in Izzet have a few ideas regarding it.
A few ideas. Do I need to know about these ideas?
Well, you see a couple, and he points back over to the wall of, like, slightly not great weaponry. He's just like, well, I'm working on it.
Hopefully it's not. I trust you, but hopefully it's not against Ravnicans or the rest of us, is it?
He goes, oh, no, this is merely fun.
Fun. Almost got stunned by one of those damn Thropter things.
He goes, well, at some point, if I'm able to get this information for you, maybe some point down the line you can do something for me and maybe earn one for yourself.
Man, I was really looking to get that bat today, but we'll work on it. How
It's
about
fine.
that?
I'll get you some information, and then at some point down the road, you can scratch my back. And you see his tail at this point lifts up and starts like scratching his back in places. He's like, not that I need any assistance in that.
No. Of course not.
It's great. I'll reach back in touch with you in the next couple days to get you that information regarding Sloval.
Okay. That would be great, and we'll work out the rest.
Great. Thank you for stopping in. It's been so great getting to see you, Korak.
As of you.
You know, lovely meeting you, Lucy. You two make your way back out of the streets. And at this time, make a perception check.
16.
16? Ooh, wonderful.
Yeah, wonderful. Thanks.
So as you head out, you actually clock coming up from the south direction. So I guess they're heading north. You see this small, fleshy, gray, hunched over creature that is like walking in this very inhuman way, at times almost ape-like, at times human-like, but they have this almost like nailed in like brassy golden faceplate that covers their face like at this kind of disturbing angle. You don't see any like facial expressions. And you see it kind of like crawl up, and it hands this token up to Lucian, who just kind of like looks it over and just kind of swallows hard and like looks at the thing, is like, "Are you sure?" And the creature just kind of like unhumanly nods its head. And Lucian just looks and goes, "I'm very sorry. I am being called away on family business, but I will do my best to be there this evening if I can. Otherwise, I will reach back in touch with you all tomorrow."
Just don't get stabbed.
He goes, "We'll see." And kind of like swallows very hard, and kind of like looks at the stone a little bit and kind of like almost shakes a little bit, and begins following the creature off. So that concludes your time checking in with the Is It contact. So the three of you will now have an opportunity to handle your own business, as it were, during the afternoon before you all meet back up again to check in with the Shattergang at the Kindle Coal Pit. So we'll go ahead and start over on this side with Darrison and kind of like work our way around the table. So Darrison, how would you like to spend? You probably have, I'd say, like 2 to 3 hours of like solid time that you can do something, given that you would have to travel wherever you go, presuming you're not doing so in the 2nd district or in the 2nd precinct. But you have about 2 or 3 hours to do stuff and like take care of your own matters before you all reconvene and then head at dusk / sundown over to the Kindercoal.
I will be spending most of my time in precinct 6.
Great.
Nearby where we're heading.
Okay. Over close off of 10th Street.
Yeah, near some familiar territory, because I want to maybe get in touch with some people that I know are on the, maybe not the right side of the law, but my side of the law.
Okay.
And ask around about Rickig and Gardigig, the Shattergang brothers. And ask about Dezez and Juzba, the goblins that I met. And a little bit about Lady Vey, and if I get a chance before we head off to the Smelt Ward, I want to like just pass by the address that Lady Vey gave me and kind of scope it out. Try to keep like a low profile, but just see where it is and like what kind of characters are around in that area.
You want to scope out the Kindle Coal Pit, or you want to scope out the
address that Lady Vey
gave you?
Yeah.
Great. So you want to scope out her area. So ask around about the Shattergang.
The Shattergang, Dezez and Juzba, and Lady Vey.
Okay.
3 mysterious.
Great. So go ahead and roll me, we'll say 2 different, we'll do this in 2 different investigation checks as you're kind of asking around of folks. I'll say that if you want, this could actually be a charisma investigation check. For those of you that are familiar with Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, there are skills that are traditionally tied to specific stats. However, depending on the way in which you are trying to accomplish a task, you can always attach it to a different ability score. So, as somebody who is trying to talk his way through things and not use like a more intelligence-based approach and just trying to be personable, we'll say that, are you skilled in investigation?
No.
Okay. So rather than using your intelligence modifier, we'll use your charisma modifier as you make this investigation check.
Okay, so I'm doing +3 and not -1, not like
just +3.
Ooh. That is that's a 9.
A 9. So asking around, we're starting with the Shattergang first. Unfortunately, not a lot of folks around here know the specific members of the Shattergang. To be fair, a lot of that is people just going, well, it's a lot of goblins. It's a lot of goblins. Not a lot of the folks who have done business around here, at least legitimate business, know them by name. They do know that, they do confirm that they know that a number of the members of the Is It League were not the Izzet League, I apologize, the Shattergang,
Yeah.
were arrested for activity at the public display. They know that they specifically were members of the Shattergang, but they don't know names, they don't know who was involved. They're not familiar with any of that side, unfortunately.
Do they know, or would I, or between them, know, like, the Shattergang's general goal, mission statement as a gang? Like,
What
what are
they
they
do?
trying to accomplish? Other than, like, I know they're warring with the Krinkos, but...
I'll say make a history check.
-1, but 17.
17.
Hey.
So the Shattergang traditionally tries to subvert society as much as possible, and primarily gilded society. The Shattergang wants to try to break down as many walls and barriers as they see, and they believe that the gilded system on Ravnica is one of the premier barriers that are obstacles for the main populace of Ravnica to actually function and properly succeed.
So, good guys in my eyes.
And now let's
What
go
about
ahead
it?
and go ahead and do one of the charisma investigation checks for Lady Vey.
That's a natural 20.
Natural 20, great!
23.
So, you don't get names. Like, the
Uh-huh.
people that have information don't have a name for you.
Mhm.
But, they have seen her around a time or two.
Mhm.
They recall seeing smoke, like actual, like, legitimate smoke come from the location that you have, like probably somebody, a merchant or somebody across the street from where you usually are. Unfortunately, it looks like they might have seen some type of smoke coming from that location within the last day. They can't pin
Chimney smoke, or like...
something probably
Okay, like
akin
somebody
to that,
works
but
there.
they can't quite get it. It wasn't the purple, like you asked them about it, but it wasn't
Uh-huh.
like the purple smoke that you saw her dissipate into. Smoke lady, they didn't see smoke lady smoke.
Holy smoke.
But they saw some type of like active smoke or whatever, and then they have not seen her around this vicinity within the last day or so. Or within the last day. Like the last 24 hours, they've not seen her around.
Would they know her by any other names or descriptions? Or
Unfortunately not.
or what the Demir would be doing in this part of town or connected to Azorius?
From what you've been gathering, they didn't even have knowledge that she was of the Demir. They, much less what she was up to. It just appeared to them to just be like somebody living there.
And any, as a last little thing, any other mysterious like goings on similar to what happened at the warehouse of people having forgotten what they've been doing for the past 3 months, or possibly being like mind controlled or influenced in that way?
You are able to get in touch with somebody who's nearby who actually owns the tenement buildings that like that location was a part of. And they don't have any records of somebody staying in that location. And they don't have any recollection or memory of such. So it seems like her presence has been wiped from the official records of her staying at that location. But, and you kind of like ask around, where her location is actually pretty close by, probably like an hour, maybe a little bit more, outside of where the Kendall Coal pit is. So it's not hard to kind of like get back here if you want to meet back up with others and investigate the location. rather than walking into a location alone.
I don't want to go in. I wanted to like just
Yeah,
go
yeah,
back
yeah.
to the outside
But
and
if
see
you
what
if
kind
you
of
wish
characters are
to
around.
if you wish to get more information at another time, it's pretty close by.
Okay.
Great. Is there anything else? I think that kind of like.
Oh, I also wanted to send a letter. I had a letter that I was going to send.
Okay, great.
For character.
Okay,
Feelings on them.
cool. So we will get together and figure out
Yeah.
what the contents of
Just-
that letter
just drop
are.
by and talk.
But that'll be easy enough. You're able to find a courier pretty close by. You make it an active point to find one who is a non-gilded courier.
Absolutely.
In the potential instance that
A
they
secure message.
might, yeah, and just in case they might be connected to Lady Vague in the area. But you're pretty easily able to send off a discreet letter at your desire. It will cost you it'll cost you 10 zibs.
Okay.
That's one
Um,
silver piece.
And I'll put an extra in for discretion and expedited delivery.
So 11 zibs. That's 11 copper pieces if you need the translation from Ravnican money
Yeah.
to normal money. Perfect. So we'll go ahead and transition off of Darrison over to Luminitza.
Okay. I just want to go to Bane Alley. I have a contact, a Golgari contact where I get my poison ingredients.
Great. Wonderful.
So I want to visit them and get my monthly supply. So
Great. So you go ahead and place your order.
yeah, place my order.
So what type of poisons were you looking for this time? Were you looking for contact poisons, ingestible poisons,
Contact,
gaseous poisons?
contact, and ingestible.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not
Not like a smoke bomb kind of situation.
not smoke bomb and not like coat your weapon, stab somebody. So like you want injury or contact. Contact is like they come in contact with it and they do it. Injury is like I put it on a weapon and I stab
Oh,
somebody.
put it on a weapon on.
Oh, cool.
Okay,
So you want an injury.
Yeah.
So you want an
Okay.
injury poison
Yes.
and a
Ingestible. Yeah.
Great. So you, of course, send the signals that you know to send
Right.
to notify that it's okay for you to walk in, and you pretty easily walk inside. You see Nicola. At this point, fading green skin, heavy cough. The skin's starting to look a little bit more wrinkled these days. Walks in and then greets you and says, "It's been some time. I was expecting you shortly."
Yeah. I was away. I was just. You're not. Are you okay?
It's it's been some. It's been a struggling month.
Okay. Well, I hope that I can put in a order, and I hope you're going to be okay.
Of course, give me more than just the few regular days.
Okay.
Then, as usual, I should have it by the end of the week
Okay.
for you.
Okay. Okay.
That will be five Xenos now and 5 more upon delivery.
Okay.
So it's 5 gold now.
5
and
gold.
5.
Okay. Yes, that's absolutely okay. Yeah, and I have no more business because I don't want anyone knowing anything else that's going on. So I just want to bye. I hope you feel better, and then like leave.
You kind of like head out of the way. She just
Nope.
And that concludes that there.
Yep.
Not a small talk.
No.
And
No.
last but not least is
Business.
Thone. So what would you like to spend your few hours of personal time on?
Well, Thone knows that he needs to go see the goblins, and he's not looking forward to it. So he's going to spend most of his time taking in the gardens, soaking up some fresh air,
Okay.
and trying to get ready for what he considers a pretty unpleasant task.
Just kind of like meditating and readying himself. and
Very
doing
much.
it. Great. Do you do so primarily within Precinct 2, your homeland?
It's going to be kind of heading in that direction.
Just kind of like
taking
doing
the
a
more
good
scenic
nature
routes,
walk for it.
kind of,
Great.
yeah.
As you do so, I'll go ahead and have you give me a perception check just to see if like anything kind of catches your eye as you're kind of moving from precinct to precinct, kind of like gathering yourself, readying.
Advantage on perception. Good.
Ooh.
17.
17. So as you make your way there, everything seems beautiful. It is a vibrant summer day, and it is the peak of summer. Everybody is still waiting for the peak of summer to kind of like start careening down and heading towards fall. But it is beautiful for those that appreciate it. Even the faint bit of sweat that just kind of continues to gather on your brow as you go. One thing that does catch your eye is there is within Precinct 2 and Precinct 3, as you're kind of like making your way across, there are heavier implements of Azorius arresters. They seem to be making their presence known a little bit more within these areas. Not actively doing anything, not acting against anybody, but they are definitely starting to heighten their presence within these zones.
In all of the zones?
Mainly within Precinct 2 and Precinct 3. Pardon me, Precinct 3 and Precinct 4. So
Okay.
Precinct 3 is your home turf.
Yeah.
For the Celestia Conclave. Precinct 4 is where a lot of the Gruul clans exist within the Red Waste. So within those two precincts, there are heightened presences of the Azorius arresters.
Are there any more of the flying machines around, or are
You
they just
don't
ground patrol?
see any. And that's something that particularly, like, that you actively clock and, like, think about, is the fact that you don't see those individuals or like those devices around.
Yeah. Okay.
And thinking about it, you haven't seen them since that display. There doesn't seem to be any around. They don't seem to be utilizing them.
Okay.
Even though they are starting to slowly try to like take over this area, but there is a heightened presence of arresters, but no devices around.
All right. Well, at least I'm glad those are not here at the moment.
Cool. Just kind of spending the day taking care of yourself. Self-care is very important. So I am totally inclined to give you a self-care point of inspiration. So at any point during the session that I require you to make a roll, you can choose to use that inspiration point to roll at advantage.
Oh, that's
So
good.
whenever we fully get into goblin territory, if you're ever feeling yourself like you need to like really roll well for something, you can use that inspiration point to roll twice and take the higher.
All right. Excellent.
Just because like someone's gonna take care of himself, so I really dig that and enjoy that. So at this point, you all gather back together yourselves as you are outside in Precinct 6 along 10th Street is where you all agreed to meet up, as it's a safe public location to gather together a group of very obviously not the same gilded members.
Right.
Outside of everything, you have a chance to kind of meet up with each other themselves. Korak has a chance to kind of like fill the rest of the group in on the fact that Lucian likely will not be here. And continue.
Well, apparently Lucian has some sort of business to attend to, so
What kind of business?
I didn't ask. As long as he didn't get stabbed, that's all. I guess that matters.
Yeah.
So that happened, and then I do have some information on Sloval and no information on Lady Vey. I tried my contact. He didn't know much, but should give me some information on Sloval within the next day.
Yeah, from what I can gather, Lady Vey is a ghost. There's no record of her staying at the warehouse. There's no one's heard of her by any name, by any description. But her address is not far from where we're headed. And what I have been able to gather is that someone's been staying there. There's sign of life. There's, smoke from the chimney is about all I have to go on. But if given the opportunity, I wouldn't mind a little reconnaissance, as we call it, and finding out what might be, at least casing the joint before we drop in. I certainly don't want to tangle with her anytime soon, but I'd like to know what she's up to, how she moves, where she goes.
Okay. But we need to talk with the goblins, correct?
Yeah, of course. Goblins first. I just, we're in the neighborhood, so maybe afterwards.
And you do recall, with the information that you gathered about the Shattergang itself, being that they are a anti-guild establishment.
Yeah.
So,
Which Rectus is all about. So.
Well, it's
Still a guild.
as I say,
Okay.
you just want to make sure that you all are dressed in such manners as to not.
Take off all your guild icons.
Keep all the guild stuff low key.
Mm-hmm.
They're not a big fan of the guilds. So we stay as anonymous as possible, which I think benefits us either way.
Mm-hmm.
Probably, honestly, better that Lucian's sitting this one out, I guess.
Second that.
Let's keep his name out of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, can we? Can we actually do that? Can we keep his name out of everything? I don't think you understand what fire you're playing with, Darrison.
That's why I want to take a look around.
He's
Yeah.
Rakdos. What do you
Look, I'm
expect?
not afraid of fire.
Well, you
I just
should
need
be
to,
afraid of Silzaxo fire. That will burn and it will poison and it will salt the ground. Do not mess with it.
All right.
Okay.
Duly noted.
Yes.
Well, I'm a Loxodon, so I'm probably going to stand out a little bit. I don't know any ungilded Loxodons, so...
I mean, like Darrison said, I think Lucian was our biggest problem, and he's not here, so I think we're okay.
Yeah, I think the rest of us are. We
Let's
can
see
keep
how
a
it
low
goes.
profile. I mean, we're a noticeable group, but we're not necessarily, making big waves or anything. Hopefully.
Mhm.
All right.
You have a lot of weird connections, right?
Yeah.
So we were.
It's the simplest answer ever. Yeah.
Yeah. Continue.
You know how we didn't trust that Lady Vey, right? Or not Lady Vey, Sloval, right?
All of them. Yes.
For the most part, from what I can tell, she was telling the truth. From what my contact,
Okay.
she was supposed to be about communication. I think that's more of your expertise.
Okay. What do you mean? What do you mean expertise?
You just seem like the person that's great at getting information out of people.
Okay. Continue.
But
You know you're a people's
The-
person, Lumen.
She says as she literally got Korak to answer a question and get information out of Korak.
yeah.
Continue.
Also, apparently that my contact was taking Zloval's prodding device and make it into a bat. So maybe I might be able to procure one
Okay.
for our benefit.
And what part do you want me to play in this?
Information. You think I'm that smart in knowing what you should do?
I can help. I'm
Good,
Uh,
because we can't help ourselves.
No, that's fine. I can do that for you. And yeah,
Korak knows who to
yeah.
ask. I can
Yeah.
like
Well,
him.
hanging out with her more often than anybody else. I'm like, she's the people person, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Korak's learning. I like
Yes,
this.
yes.
maybe a stupid minotaur that knows how to fight, but
He's
he knows
picking up
street
stuff,
smart.
yeah.
Uh,
got the street smarts.
Street smarts.
Uh-huh.
but yeah, something to probably look into in
All right.
later dates.
Yes. Yes. I am available and able to help out, and we can talk about how there's a trade later on how we do this.
Obviously, I already
Consultation fees.
Consultation fees.
scratch your back
Exactly.
as it is.
I don't do things for free as much as I wouldn't think you guys would.
There's a lot of itchy backs in our line of work.
Exactly. So, I mean,
you have
But it
no
can be
idea.
done.
it can be done. I mean, we both have ledgers, and you fill them. Anyways, yes. So yes, I can help with this, and yeah. So we are doing things, right?
About what time is it?
Yeah.
Close to an
It
hour?
is around like dusky sundown. You can start to see as you all are set within 10th Street and Precinct 6. You can see down alleyways and down that you start to see the telltale signs of lanterns being lit.
Okay.
And like signals being notified that maybe establishments that don't have names, at least to the general public, are starting to open. And that the seedier side of Ravnica is starting to come alive. Within Precinct 6 is probably the closest that it gets to like a red light district. It is the highlight of the Cult of Rakdos,
Okay.
of the Ungilded. It is the area of town where if you truly need something and you want to do something that's probably not generally acceptable, you can probably do it here.
Okay.
If you know the right place and the right questions to ask and the right amount of coin that it takes. So having
place.
scouted it out, Darrison
That's
kind
my
of helps lead the way.
Okay.
And you guys arrive in Precinct 6, closer to 10th Street itself. It's not far away from where y'all met up. You arrive outside a very dilapidated looking building at first glance. But as you continue looking, you can see metal supports holding up portions that look like they probably should have fallen down quite some time ago. You see a number of things, and you can hear raucous noise coming from within this club. And you see a small sign on the outside that has magical flames just lightly licking at each of the letters in the outline. And you just see it outlined with the Kindle Coal Pit. And you can smell booze and fire and like old like rusted metal just coming from within this as this raucous sounds erupt from within, and you are outside the Kindle Coal Pit.
Okay.
Sounds like my place.
Yeah. That is where we are going to hold off on things and take a quick break for ourselves as the gang gets ready to head inside the Kindle Coal Pit and see what awaits them as they gear up to meet up with the Shattergang themselves. Through Darrison's supposedly acceptable contacts that he's totally made. So we'll see where things go. We will be back in about 10 to 15 minutes. We will continue to have the fabulous musical stylings of Spinny Baby playing through our break as well. So we thank them once more for providing music for us for this stream tonight. And we will check in with the chat as well if you guys have any specific questions for us as we've gone through things. Thank you guys so much for sticking with us. If you're just joining us, we will be back in about 10 to 15 minutes, and we shall see y'all shortly after the break.
I was going to do whatever they asked, so of course I said yes. Here's the thing though, I didn't know the piano version of Happy Birthday. I didn't even know they had piano music. At this point, I obviously knew things weren't going well. If anyone else was there, I'm sure it would have been hard to watch. I gave Happy Birthday my best effort, and they stopped me on my first Happy Birthday. They gave me one last chance. I bet you can guess what happened next.
Stop you again.
They told me, thank you, and sent me on my way with a very don't call us, we'll call you vibe.
Imagine it was pretty disappointing for you.
See, that's the thing. I got cast.
Why do you think that is?
I know why that director told me, backstage, after our final dress rehearsal, she asked me, "Do you know why I cast you?" Naturally, I said no, and she told me, "It wasn't because of your singing, and it certainly wasn't because of your dancing. But I've seen the work you do in my class. I know you work hard, and you would be dedicated."
That's a good thing. She recognized your work ethic.
Yeah, but I didn't audition on work ethic. I bombed at everything I was supposed to be able to do. Everything everyone else could do. And instead got by because she liked me. And that's haunted me for years. How much am I getting by on people liking me? How much am I doing wrong and no one is telling me because they like me? It's like the more people love and support me, the more I feel I don't belong.
I think I need to go. The cops are coming soon. I stole this temple and all the treasure that is due. I feel that all the crimes are starting to stack up. The court's adjourned, the verdict reached. The criminal is me. Oh, imposter, I'm a monster. And everybody knows it, but nobody confronts me. I'm a monster, an imposter. And everybody knows it, everybody knows it. Imposter, I'm a monster. And everybody knows it, but nobody confronts me. I'm a monster, an imposter. And everybody knows it, everybody knows it. Yeah. Please hold the applause for perhaps my greatest heist. For taking all the credit and acting like I'm nice. Maybe it was luck or a simple human mistake. That everything good in my life feels like it is fake. Oh, imposter, I'm a monster. And everybody knows it, but nobody confronts me. I'm a monster, an imposter. And everybody knows it, everybody knows it. just wasted space? Did I fall out of the race? Am I out of touch or out of place? Am I falling from the chance from the start. And someday I'll be gone and will only matter for so long. Just a shuffle in the silence. Let me be a lyric in your song. I'd like to mean something to you. Refuse the lies, I'll tell the truth. I'm not a fool and I'm not your joker. Don't wanna be mediocre. Just this once, I hope you'll remember who was with you while you trembled. Gave you peace when you were lost. Made a place where you belong. moth drawn to a flame, wanting to play a losing game. Far away, king rolls a stone up a hill, and a gambler spins the wheel. Now I don't know what to think. Are we some sort of masochist? Break the cycle and let change sink, or be the ash that once were moth wings. And we can start again. We can start again. And we can start again. We can start again. And we can start again. We can start again. And we can start again. Slam my head against the wall, fall to the floor, begin to crawl. I wanna be more than I am. I wanna change the master plan, or I can fall into a hole. Just give up and sell my soul. Something inside won't let me quit. Makes me wanna try again. And we can start again. We can start again. And we can start again. We can start again. And we can start again. We can start again. And we can start again.
You know, I counted it. It's only going to be 119 days.
What is?
Your semester. It's only 119 days and you'll be back for summer break.
Doesn't seem as long, I guess. It's gonna be a lot to take in, though.
Like what?
Just all the people, the things, going from being one of 500 to one of 40,000 makes me feel even less significant than I do now.
But just look up. There's millions of stars in the sky, but each one still shines so brightly that we can see it from light years away.
Sure, all the stars are bright. That doesn't make them special. Most of them don't even have names.
You see that one? It has a name. That's Betelgeuse. You know how I know? It's part of the constellation Orion. Right there is Orion's belt, Zeta and Epsilon and Delta. Alone, they're just another star in the sky. But they've come together to make something significant.
I guess you're right.
From stars to stardust, no one wants to be alone in the universe. Do you really think we're alone in the universe?
If there's something out there, it would have found us by now. think?
I don't know. It's a big place. Maybe they got lost.
Well, we're certainly lost, that's for sure.
If we don't know where we're going, is that the same as being lost?
Yeah, that's like the definition, Socrates.
No, like, I mean, we're not exactly trying to get anywhere specific, so maybe we're not lost. We're just content to drift the cosmos, come what may.
Yeah, okay. But then what's the point?
I don't know.
Huh. You almost said something really deep there.
I almost did. We'll keep digging.
Welcome back! Thank you all so much for sticking us through the break as we all refill for Act 2. As the party is ready to enter the Kindle Coal Pit here in the 6th precinct of the 10th district here on Ravnica. As we have discussed before, this is the seedy district where all of the nightclubs and all of the performance halls are a little bit more not in line with the full laws of Ravnica. But because it's all within a certain area, of course, they're probably not going to be able to enforce a lot of laws in this area. As you guys are hanging out outside of the Kindle Coal Pit, go ahead and give me perception checks.
Oh,
Fine.
boy.
Thank you.
No. 3.
Advantage.
13.
19.
19. Great. I already heard y'all,
I was
so
giving
it's
the new
fine.
guy a chance.
We're just going to skip
We're
over
back.
y'all. Great.
Giving the new guy a chance, but he's
So
going back in
you
the
two,
pot.
you can see the closest that you see any Azorius or Boros presence is probably 4 blocks or so away outside of this. Like, they are keeping a wide berth from this area. From what you have gathered, Darrison and Luminita, you have both spent a little bit of time here within these areas. Darrison, you being a member of the Rakdos and very welcome within these areas, and Luminita as a little bit more of like an information gatherer, like sorting out who you can tithe take and who you can't, and trying to get information on your targets as a tithe taker.
Okay.
You two both know that any of the Azorius or Boros who want to move within this area basically have to have, like, writs on writs on writs for, like, rulings on, like, great, now you can move on this exact location right here and literally no other.
Yeah.
Like, within this precinct and within this area, it's pretty much a, like, no question asked unless you have, like, all the coverage you need and all of the Azorius laws that you have to claim in order to actively move on somebody within this precinct.
Okay.
So it's definitely outside the realm of traditional law behavior. Again, probably a good reason that Lucian is not here.
Yeah.
Um,
We have so many complaints.
So many complaints.
With this white garb.
So as you guys walk in, the entrance itself, you have to wait like a person or 2 or 3, and you actually see a number of people actually get kicked out. And as they are walking away, you do see that a number of them have guild insignias somewhere, whether they are Rakdos or Simic. Like, there's a number of people who actually get kicked out even for brandishing a guild insignia here.
Guild insignia's going in my pocket.
Pulling the sleeves.
Yeah, everybody kind of takes a minute
Well,
to,
you're
like,
good.
focus
You're
themselves.
Rakdos.
But he's
And
got a
as
tattoo.
you arrive, and you notice there was even like a member or two of Rakdos that got booted out the door. As you guys arrive up to the front, you are met by a little pot-bellied, but very lithe goblin. She's got kind of like a very like tight updo, and has all like the normal Shattergang colors that you've seen before, but like a little bit more dressed up. And when I say dressed up, I mean that these are probably dressy items that have likely been stolen from other people. There is a vest that is a little bit too long to be worn by the goblin. She has a very fancy monocle on one eye, and like series of like pocket chains that just go to nowhere. But she is definitely dressed up, and she is there at kind of like this little pedestal station at the front, and standing behind her, almost hitting the ceiling of this building, is a giant who you can see. Everybody roll me medicine checks.
What the hell is that? Oh, I see it. Okay. 14.
10.
8.
So you recognize these because you've seen a number of other tithe takers have to do so by force.
Okay.
But you see a number of scars and like scarification of what looks like body piercings or body modifications having been ripped out of the body.
Okay.
And so you see these veins. It takes you a minute to recognize that these aren't tattoos and these are scars. And Korak, you recognize at least the scarification of it after a minute. And Darrison, roll a history check.
Oh, nice.
I think my history is -1. Yeah. 15.
15? Great! That's still wonderful. So the patterns in which these are, you recognize some of the patterns of the scarification after it's kind of like lightly pointed out to you a little bit subtly as the scarification and the body modifications that are traditionally found on giants in the employ of the cult of Rakdos. Traditionally, they're referred to as blood-fray giants. And they have these series of body modifications that are applied to them in these piercings that they're able to kind of like run chains all along their body and act as like these huge workforces to be able to carry along Rakdos performance floats or anything like that.
Okay.
But it looks like all of the places where you would normally see these piercings and body modifications have all been ripped out. And there is now no semblance of like Rakdos affiliation.
Okay.
So it looks like this is a repurposed member of the cult of Rakdos that has found employ with the Shattergang.
Okay.
And you all walk up, and the little goblin greets you all. Welcome to the Kindle Coal Pit. My name is Sunix. Are you all joining us this evening?
Very much so.
Great. Wrists out, everybody. Show them all to me.
Left wrist. Not the tattooed one.
Doesn't matter which wrist.
Both wrists?
Okay.
I should have one wrist.
Roll a deception check.
Oh, I don't know if I misunderstood the instructions.
As you like actively
wrist singular.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like,
Deception.
15.
15, plenty.
Okay.
She just kind of looks at you. She's like, great, wonderful. Just want to make sure that none of those gilded assholes are joining us this evening.
Okay, nice.
Wonderful. That will be 10 zibs apiece for you for entry.
Okay. Sure.
I'm not gonna argue with that.
How many zibs are in a Xeno?
So 100 zibs are within 1 Xeno.
Ah, 100.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you have to pay a Xeno, you
So
can-
100 silver to a gold.
No.
100 copper to a
10 copper, 100
Okay.
copper to 1 gold.
So 10.
Math.
I know, so-
Wait,
10
so how many-
silver to
it's
a
10
10 copper to a silver.
Yeah, 10 copper
Yeah.
to a silver, 10 silver to a gold, 10 gold to a platinum.
So
Got it.
silver
It's
is
10. It's literally
Yeah.
just in tens, y'all.
I just
Basically,
don't
wait,
know.
But
wait,
I
is
understand
it
that because
silver
I
or-
understand, but because we are
Zib
dealing
Xeno.
with zibs and xenos, it's 100 zibs to 1 xeno.
I'm gonna
That's
write
all you
this
gotta
down.
know.
Here we go.
So if you're
I'm
paying
still
10,
confused.
if you're paying 10 zibs, how many xenos do you have?
Is it on there? It's on
Or
your
how much
I
gold
have
do you
9 gold, 5 silver.
You have
Oh,
9 gold.
yeah.
Great. So that would bring you down
Writing it
to
next to
8
it.
gold, 5 silver. It
Okay.
would bring you down to, in Ravnican terms, 8 xenos,
That is-
50 zibs. You have 50 zibs.
Okay, I'm not good with that.
It's okay. I got
This
it.
concludes
can
the accounting
roll.
portion.
This
of
includes
the-
yes. Thank you all for joining the math portion of Dungeons and Dragons. It's a lot. If you ever have trouble balancing your own budget, just try to be an adventurer in Dungeons and Dragons. We promise you, there's a lot to it. So you all pay your cover charge
Yeah.
to the club, as it
Yeah,
were.
I'm not gonna
Unfortunately, you all didn't have the password. They got you free entry before 11 o'clock.
Oh.
You know, as
I
we were.
wasn't on their Facebook.
I know, I'm sorry. You didn't follow their Facebook page.
Damn it.
Um,
Damn it, Darrison. You had one job.
But you all pay
A
your
lot of
fee
jobs.
and make your way inside, and you can all now see this is definitely a ex-Rakdos establishment.
Okay.
They are far gone at this point. However, at one point you could see the floor itself is all kind of like this meshy metal, metal plates, and you can see far down in that there are large amounts of like blackened and like burned and like fully whitened like ashes from a coal pit.
Oh, I see.
Far underneath, it was probably at one point lit to like light things ablaze from below. But it is far gone at this point. You can see a number of strings of what we would probably call like what would equate to like Christmas lights or like patio lights and things like that. But it is all various arrays of lanterns and candlesticks and anything that they could literally affix to this chain to act as like lighting instruments here within this. You can see all sorts of repurposed or acquired furniture around the establishment with tables, things like that. And you can see far at the end past another mesh cage with a little opening in it, probably what looks like a doorway that has another goblin standing in front of it. You can see far at the end of the club, and this club is probably about 80 feet deep and 100 feet wide. You can see far at the other end of it a little mesh cage, and there is a oddly well kept desk with a high back chair that looks like it's been patched up with numbers of different leathers, all not the same color or shade. Of course. Sitting behind it, and you see a goblin sitting behind at the desk, kind of like working at things there. There is a big old horseshoe bar off to your left, where a goblin is pouring drinks for a number of different races of people, all from bottles that are either pretty well kept and just a little dusty on the outside to like half broken but like still functional as like a beverage device.
Okay.
They're just like pouring different beverages for everybody.
Okay.
I'd like to go to the bar just to get a drink and keep a lookout. Kind of like look over the crowd and gather my...
Okay, great. You walk up to the bar the bar, and there is a goblin with a pretty like hefty gash across one eye, and hands look a little blackened and a little gross, as they are slinging beverages for everybody. Just because it's like, hey, what can I get for ya?
The strongest thing you get.
Oh, wonderful! That'll be our golden moonshine. And begins to like grab a bottle and pour out. And it shouldn't probably look as milky as it does, but he just kind of like slides a like half a glass with like, that'll be 2 zibs for ya.
Here you go. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Just kind of like sticks them in like a little front pocket of his little apron there.
Can I do a quick scan? I want to look and see if I see Dezaz or Jizba around.
Cool, great. Go ahead and roll me a perception check.
Yes.
Ooh, I love it when they gas.
That's a 19 plus 1. 20.
20 total.
dirty,
Great.
dirty
Come on,
20.
dirty 20. A dirty 20 in probably the dirtiest location in
Yeah.
Ravnica. I love it. So as you pull up, you can see across the way, on the other side of the bar from where you guys entered, you see, I believe it was Dezaz who was friends with you. You see Dezaz.
Yeah.
They're getting drinks and kind of like buying around for everybody, which is a very odd sight in a primarily goblin bar. You see a number of other races, like you see humans, and you see a Viashino or two, but it's an odd sight to see a goblin like actively buying beverages for like a number of people.
Yeah.
And he's like there hanging out, and he kind of like catches your attention and starts like actively jumping up and like waving his hands around. He's like, "This guy."
Desi! I'm gonna like push my way through him, through the crowd, and make my way over to him. Give him like
This guy.
a cool
Yeah,
handshake.
everybody, you, hey, Spix, and he like points really heavily to the bartender. The bartender's like, "What do you want?" He's like, "This guy right here, buy him one of everything. It's on my tab tonight. He's the best. He works for us. Did you know that? This guy works for us." And Spix is like, "Oh, well, I've never heard of that one working for us, but that's interesting. You might want to take that up with the boss over there." And he points his finger back at the goblin that's sitting back behind the mesh cage. That's like, he's great. He's what? More for me. And he starts, Spix is just like shaking his head a little bit and pouring beverages for
Me? Desi, like, don't give all the credit over to me. Like, you've been doing such a great job, man.
I earned a bonus from the boss. I got this. And he holds up a coin, and it's one that catches your eye because you don't anticipate a goblin having enough money to actively be able to buy a bunch of drinks for everybody at a bar. Much less a goblin holding up an Azorius minted Electrum piece that is 50 zibs worth. And he kind of like holds one up and give me a perception check. As
50
you're
zibs or 50 Xenos?
50 zibs.
16.
16. You can see a little coin purse like tightly wrapped around and like tied shut around his waist that jingles with like more coin. And he just kind of like takes the electron piece and kind of like slides it across the counter to Spix to like pay for the round of drinks.
And so he's moved on to talk to Des.
Yeah.
And you're at the bar.
I'm on the lookout.
We're still north towards the entrance.
I'm gonna put on my flower crown.
Huh, I like
You made a flower crown
I
on your
need
way
to get
over?
dressed
Beautiful.
properly.
So I assume you made this flower crown on your walk over to
course.
the club. You know,
Picking
as
flowers on
as
every-
one does. Go ahead and roll me a nature check as you're getting prepared for your flower crown realness.
Oh my goodness.
I
This
have
is beautiful.
proficiency in that.
Of course.
of course he does.
So that would be 7.
Oh boy.
So it's not fully a crown.
I couldn't find enough flowers.
Yeah, it's probably just like a line of flowers. So it just looks almost kind of like a hairpiece.
Like a laurel.
Yeah, like
yeah,
a
but like
laurel.
also
I'm happy
You're
with that.
big elephant man, so it probably doesn't cover even like a full laurel's worth.
It's
but
the
it, like,
dressiest
but
thing I
it
can
looks
come up with.
beautiful.
It's like
So-
two
Really
flowers
nice.
attached to his
It's
ear.
the like 10 good flowers that you found
Yeah.
on 10th Street. Like,
10. That's
not
that's
a lot
pushing
of.
it.
I was gonna say two, like two
Yeah.
little flowers.
No, and I'm just like, did you just put flowers on?
It's the dressiest I've been in a long time.
And it didn't. You couldn't finish the.
You know, there's not a lot of flowers. I wasn't really at home, and yeah, it's hard.
I mean, good for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna go to Darrison now. I'm happy with your crown. Crown? I gotta go.
Okay.
I just gotta go over here.
Gotta-
Deuce.
I don't even know.
Okay.
And so I'm coming over to you, and then I'm trying to see if you need me for anything. Just subtly.
I'll take note of where you are, but
Okay.
I'm not gonna pull you into it.
Okay,
I'll let you
okay.
kind of.
Okay.
Am I-
As you head out, roll an insight check.
Am I close enough in the bar with them, or am I too?
You're probably like at the other side, closer to the entrance.
Okay.
You saw Spix actually
Insight.
work his way over.
So 2.
Okay.
So 10? Not 2.
10?
Yeah.
You gather that like Darrison's feeling out the situation.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah,
You know enough to like
just hang back a little
take
bit.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, all right, cool. I'm
just gonna
Signal
hang up.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Deuce.
Yeah.
Deuce the deuce.
I had to get away from the crowd. The flowers.
Flowers are beautiful,
Yeah.
They are,
but
but
the beauty
Oh,
consume you.
boy.
So I wanna chat with Dazaz a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, man, that bonus, you deserve it. Look, you've been working hard. Where's the boss around tonight? Is he hanging out tonight?
Are you well, one of them is in here, and he like points over. He's like, Gardigig's here, but we haven't seen Rickig in a day or two. I don't know what's up.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I'll probably catch up with him later. How have you been? How did you guys find out what happened with the other guys that got caught?
He's we're working on it. I think Rickig's one of the ones that's heading up that operation, but I'm not sure. Don't tell anybody that I told you. I don't know if the job is up for bid yet. I'm really hoping to get it because the boss has paid me pretty great for the last one.
How drunk is he?
Roll an insight check.
Oh boy.
Oh, I'm all over that. Insight, 18.
He's fucking wasted. Like, hard. Pretty, like, he's gone. He's done.
Good. I would like to take one of the drinks because I think he ordered me many.
Yeah.
But I'll take 2 of the drinks and I'll pull him over. Is there like a table nearby?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll pull
course.
him over to a table and sit him down and slide one of the drinks over to him. Hey man, so Des, like, how have you been? I feel like we haven't caught up in a few days. Did everything go well with the job? Obviously.
I mean, like, we found out what we could. And it just, it's so good to see you, man.
Yeah, man.
It's so good.
I have had the craziest, like, past 24 hours, like, let me tell you.
What did you do? What? You worked that job, but then, like, where did the boss send you, man?
Well, I'm on some kind of covert stuff, so keep it hush-hush, just between the two of us. You got it.
Got it. Yeah, totally. Fine.
Yeah, there's this lady I've been tracking. I think she goes by many names.
Is she about it? Is she good?
Well, we've had our. It's kind of a will they won't they thing with the two of us, but.
Oh, so she's. If you have, if she's yours, I won't.
No. I mean, I'm. I don't know. I just want to see if maybe I got a new angle. Things aren't really working with my approach.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Yes. If we work together, I think we can figure out a plan.
Oh, no.
And honestly,
That's a new. I've
I
never
think-
heard of
I think
somebody
she's-
who's wanted like a goblin and like a person at this.
Oh,
That's
well,
a new one.
I think she's better suited
Man.
for you, honestly.
Yeah.
I just, I wanted to know if maybe you've heard of her, maybe you've seen her around.
What's her name?
She goes by Vay.
Literally never heard that name before in my life.
All right. She hangs around, and I'll, I don't know what the address is, but I'll
Yeah.
give him the
Yeah.
general vicinity of the address. You ever been around that part of town?
I'm not good with like places. Like the boss kind of tells me where to go and I like go, but then like I just go. Like do you get it?
Of course, no.
Like, I just go.
I get it. I get places to go all the time, and I go
And then
there.
like you
I
just
come back,
go,
man.
Like you just
Hey,
go.
man, where's Jizba at? I haven't seen him around.
I think she's at a job with the other boss, man. Like that one seemed to like the fact that she ran and like didn't talk to you, but like you're a part of us, so like it shouldn't matter. It's weird.
Some
I
people are
don't
weird
know.
about that.
But like they still paid me well. Like I did a good job.
Yeah, what was it that you ended up wrapping up?
Well, like this one, man. Like I did the thing. I got the information about the guys who did the last job. You hooked me up with that because you were also working it. I don't understand.
Yeah,
man.
I just, we didn't get a chance to debrief after. What was it that they were up to?
At this point, he has totally failed his Constitution saving throw, and it just passes the fuck out, like hard on the table. Like you see a tongue like try to like lick at the glass and try to get, but it's just he's done.
Can I go? Put my arms on his shoulders and maybe try to prop him up and help him maybe out of the facility. And as I do, try to maybe swipe that pouch on his belt.
Damn, I was gonna do that.
Great. Go ahead and roll me a sleight of hand check, you thieving bastard.
15.
15? Oh yeah. It's not hard at all. And you swipe it. Do you kind of like take a peek inside?
No, I'm gonna count it later.
No, great. Oh yeah, you just pocket it and
No.
Wonderful, great. Go ahead and just like write down that you have Dezez's coin pouch, and we'll cover that later. How dare you take advantage of his drunkenness?
I'm helping him over to the
He
bartender
was
to
your
see
buddy.
if I'm helping him over to the bartender to see if we can get him a ride home maybe or some place to crash tonight. This guy, man. Hey, buddy.
Are you gonna call a Ruber? Maybe a
Spix.
Rift?
Spix, was it? Spix, my friend here has had more than enough. Do you think we could, get him at least somewhere soft to lie down for a bit and let him kind of shake this off?
Here she goes. Ilgat! And you see the giant kind of like just poke his head into the room and she goes, "We got one!" And Ilgat just leans in a bit and kind of like saunters over, and Ildgut is easily like the tallest fucking thing in this entire building, and just walks over and just grabs Dezez by the scruff of the neck and holds him up and just continues like walking, and you see a back door of some sort, so presumably leads like further into the facility, and he just continues like walking through it and using Dezez by the scruff of the neck to like push open the door, everything. He's just doing it that way.
I'm gonna head back and recon with Lumi
Okay.
for a second.
Did you get the pouch?
Gardigig is here. I will wink but keep talking.
Okay.
Gardigig is here.
Okay.
Rickig's been gone for a day or two. He's AWOL. Possibly something to do with getting those other 3 out of jail that we met earlier. But I think if we can swing it, I'd like to get a little one-on-one with Gardigig if we can tonight.
Okay. So what do you want to do, like a diversion kind of thing, or? I mean, we have 2 giant people here.
I don't think we need a diversion as far as Des is concerned, and he's kind of spreading the word that I've already got an inn here. I say if we just walk up and say hi.
I was afraid you were gonna say that. Okay.
Sometimes the direct approach is the best approach, Luminitsa.
I mean, sure. This is a little bit. I don't deal with Precinct 6 very often. I'm more into,
I think what's
shinier things.
So what are you guys
I would like
doing
to
at this
have
time?
moved towards them.
I'm gonna go with them. I want to help.
Oh.
Okay. So after you see Darrison flag down Ildgud with Ildgut with the help of the bartender Spix.
Yeah, I've got my drink under.
They head over and you guys join them so y'all are there for this conversation.
Compliment Bone's crown.
Phone. You look lovely tonight.
Thank
you. Fit right in, honestly.
It's the flowers.
It's a rare island of peace and charm in such a chaotic
That's
environment.
exactly
No,
why I made
that
it.
just draws attention.
Yes.
I
No,
think
I just
sometimes
needed to dress up.
sometimes it pays to stand out, and I think this is
Right.
I want to put
think
my
you made the
hand
right
on
choice.
on Thone's arm and go, my dude, no,
Okay.
you're out of your element.
Good. I mean,
Exactly. So I bring my element with me.
No, you're gonna
Always.
get
you can't
stabbed.
argue with that though.
You're gonna get stabbed. I'm just
Someone won't get
What?
stabbed.
Well, don't. Yeah, okay. So.
Do you need muscle?
I was gonna go talk to the
Yes.
boss man. I figure most of the people around here are either drunk or, from what I've gathered, I've been talking around today, and most of them don't know a damn thing more than we do.
It's not particularly an enjoyable place. I say we get to business.
Yeah, I go talk to the boss man, and you guys maybe keep an eye out. I mean, worst thing that happens, we could just get thrown out, right?
I think he should wait closer to the entrance. I think he's gonna cause some issues.
I'll never cause issues.
Are you gonna
He's a
bring up
peaceful
your
guy.
sign and say you don't approve of all this?
That's a great idea.
No! Don't do that. Please don't do that. Just go wait at the bar and make yourself pretty.
Are you doing? I don't know what's happening.
I'm gonna
here.
stand behind the small creatures.
Okay. As I wave, are you doing this alone? Do you need backup? How are you gonna play this?
I think I'll play it cool, straightforward. I go in,
Okay.
get as much info as possible.
Okay.
I
Is this-
give you the signal
Okay.
if things are going bad, and maybe just a small distraction. Maybe just I don't want to cause a scene, but maybe give me an out to the conversation.
Okay.
If I need.
Okay.
Ooh, I can
What's
distract.
the signal, first off?
Oh,
What is the signal?
Okay, I got this.
we're starting. We're gonna keep it We're gonna keep it simple for you.
Yes, please.
This one is. This place is no longer cool. We need to make it out of here.
Okay. I'm doing this in my head all the time.
This place ain't cool. Round it up and out the door. See you guys down the street.
Okay.
Okay.
We're not
gonna keep
proficient
it
in
low
this.
profile.
We do a lot of things, but not signals.
Welcome to planning and party management in Dungeons and Dragons, everybody.
It's a very stealthy signal. I commend you.
Yeah, I think
I don't
keep
know.
it simple.
Okay. Yeah. No, I agree. It's worked for us.
If we
Luminita sounds so confident.
look, if we get split up, I will
Sounds like
open my
you will.
hand and make the image of the small yellow bird that I
Okay.
had before.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm.
You recognize this guy. Follow him.
Mhm.
We rendezvous back at me, and
I love that yellow bird.
He's a
So
sweetheart.
you stay at the bar. I'll go.
Oh no, I'm not staying at the bar. I hate this place.
Then go outside.
No, don't. No,
Going
he
with
needs.
them.
Yeah. He needs to stay somewhere. You stayed with me. He goes in the
I've
area.
got
Do
a
you,
cover for
do
him.
you
I
want
think
me
we're cool.
with all the stupid nonsense since those two?
No, he needs to go alone because he's the one that's supposed to be part of the Shattergang. So it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
I,
think-
was there with the goblin who was
Stealthy.
all like, "Yeah, I'm this buddy."
Yeah, if you want to hang out close by, they know that we're connected. If I give the signal, maybe I've had a little too much to drink, and oh, sorry, we'll have to continue this conversation later, and we just see ourselves out.
So I'm probably
Right?
taller
No harm, no
than-
foul.
Other than him, that I can do this
Yes,
signal.
but
I'll just
It
stand at
work-
the
it
end of the bar
works.
closer to
It
him.
Phone, roll a perception.
I can
check
do it
for
with
me.
my trunk.
see the.
Perception at advantage. The first one, I guess it's a 9.
9. Everything seems to be going pretty well for you.
Everything's
Figure it out.
great. Wow, this place is good.
Let's not get too caught up on the signal. It'll be
Yeah, that's.
it'll be obvious when
not
we
what-
need to make our exit. Okay.
Just.
So,
I think we're being
stay
conspicuous.
cool.
You need to go. Yeah.
We hang low. I've got some friends to talk to.
Yep.
I'll
Yep.
have
And I
Sign
will
up.
take my drink and I'll go
Jump.
right
Yeah.
to this end of the bar.
And I'm gonna
Alright.
hang out near Thone, so because I'm gonna use him as part of the distraction if things go south.
Yeah, I'm great at
Okay.
distractions.
So y'all are hanging out somewhere within the club itself.
Yeah, some are kind of close to like the entrance.
Y'all,
I'm closest to him.
you go within closer to the caged entrance.
Is it close to the bar or is it by a wall I can stand
It's a
by?
ways, like it's a little ways away. Like you could sit at that end of the bar, but you'd still be probably like 30 or so.
I
feet
wouldn't be
away
able to
from
hear
the-
very well. Is there like
Probably
an
not.
entertainer or something I could be by that would be close enough? Or
You could probably find a table with it, like in between the middle of like where the bar would be and where they would be. So you'd be closer to like 15, 20 feet.
yeah, I'll,
So it'd
I'll
be
do
like
that.
it'd be the closest you could get inconspicuously.
Okay, I could offer some arm wrestling.
Okay.
There you go. Thone and I are probably
Great.
just having a
Somewhere within
conversation.
the
Yeah,
bar. Great.
yeah. With ourselves.
So Darrison, you head up to the gate, and this is another goblin. This is a woman, bald-haired, absolutely garish makeup. Like somebody never told her how you're supposed to apply it.
Oh.
Just that you wear makeup when you are her position at the bar or at the club. Has like half of a stolen dress that's tucked into like a pair of like breeches or like pants of some sort. And she has 2 monocles, like not a pair of glasses, just 2 monocles on her eyes, like almost illuminating and like magnifying her garish eye makeup. It's a sight. She just goes, "Are you here to see the boss?
Yes.
What's your name? You're not on the list. I don't remember anybody looking as handsome as you on the list."
Oh, you know.
And she puts like a very, very overly dramatic wink in your direction.
The name's Percy.
Pussy?
Yes. I
Spell
don't know
that for me real fast. It's very loud in here. I can't.
P
Uh-huh.
R C I. Give her a little wink. They might not have me on
That
the list.
sounds
This is
obnoxious.
you know, some of us we wish we
who
could choose.
puts an I at the end of a... It's a Y. I should know. I spell so well.
I know it's well, some of us wish we could have chosen, but
Oh, that's a choice, honey. And she just kind of like looks at. She's like, I just and you hear a very loud clearing of the throat behind her, and you kind of like peer past her, and he just has his eyes like set on you, and you see another goblin, little bit of a pot belly, but probably the most well dressed goblin here, like a little vest that actually properly fits well. Buttons, definitely not the same button every time, but they are all well-made buttons at least.
Hey.
and has like a pretty nice little like gold earring that looks like a Xeno coin that's just like pierced on his ear that has like a little chain that runs up to a little nose ring on him, and he just goes, it's like, "It's okay, darling, let him in." He just kind of like holds up his little like tightly pointed nail, and she goes, "Well, I guess the boss wants to see ya."
It's a last minute thing. Thank you. You've done a wonderful job.
Percy. And she just kind of like flips her page over to a new one and just like scrawls Percy down and just like underlines it a little bit. And you see her write maybe a few question marks at the end. And maybe the word "you" at the end as well. But she checks you off. And you walk past her, and the desk itself is very nice. Having been in Leonesius's office, you gather that this desk probably belonged to some type of Azorius lawmage or some type of lawmage before, because it is very, very well done. And this was most definitely repurposed by those here. And this chair definitely had something. Roll me a insight check as you kind of like are walking up.
I think I have a... Yeah, it's a 4.
4? No. You can see how it's like kind of like patchworked, but you're not able to like kind of gather that much more. And he just kind of like points to a small. It's not even like a full chair. It's just like a little stool. It's at the other side of the desk. It's definitely far lower than a person normally should sit. Probably more in line for like a goblin-sized stool. But you are a person-sized person, not a goblin-sized person. So you are going to kind of like sit down and like, it's like just enough like this as you're kind of doing it, and then kind of like looking up over the desk at him. He just goes, "So, you seem to have made quite the name for yourself."
Yes, well, I've been up to quite a lot of activity that I feel like you might be interested in.
Well, you seem to claim that it's our activity that you're up to, so I am pretty interested in it. I believe Dezez gave you name of Darrison?
Yes, well, when we move in such ways, we have to be careful with who we give our true name to. And, well, as we...
Well, if you can give your real name to one of my men, why can't you give it to my doll over here? And she just kind of turns around. She's like, "You said your name was Percy. I wrote it right here, including the nasty eye."
Yes, and you are doing a much better job than Dezaz has, because as we've learned, Dezaz has a bit of a gossip problem.
It's like...
So...
He just kind of looks at you, he's like, "There's a reason that I paid him off a little bit, just to shut him the hell up."
And there's a reason that I don't necessarily share my name with everyone.
Roll a persuasion check at this point. I like this.
Ooh, and 19.
19? Yeah. He just kind of looks at me and is like, "It's good to do business with somebody else who has a little bit of a mind to it."
Exactly.
Goes, "So, Darrison, what brings you to our establishment?"
Well, I was there at the Transguild Promenade the other day, and...
You were present for our job 2 days ago.
Yes, and I saw what happened. I wanted to follow up, and, you know, honestly, I was concerned a bit. We checked in at the...
You told Dezaz, and I quote, and he kind of like pulls up a piece of paper and like puts a very cracked monocle over his eye. It likely doesn't do anything, but it looks great. He holds up a piece of paper and says, "I believe you told Dezaz that you were working the case for us. Now, I don't remember hiring you, and Rickig didn't hire you. So, who do you work for?"
Right now, I like to consider myself a bit of a free agent, but I don't have any strict alliances, and I think that we could come to a mutually beneficial agreement.
Do you work for that snake Krinko? Did he send you? And he holds up he snaps a finger, and you actually hear the sliding of wood, and the points of 2 crossbows point out from behind the wall behind him.
Can I see those?
I've never
from
met
my
the man.
distance?
Roll a perception check at disadvantage.
Oh.
You've been drinking whatever the hell that was.
Ooh, that was a natural one. On my second.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
I will look him straight in the eye and honestly say, I've never met the man.
He believes you.
I didn't lie.
I know. Believes you, says, very well. Kind of just snaps twice, and the crossbows slowly pull back, and the little fake wall portions slide back into place. He goes, all right, so, tell me, were you hired by the same people we were hired by?
No. I've not been hired by anyone. Like I said, I'm here working as a free agent. But I have some
Free agents
information.
gotta eat. Free agents gotta work.
And a free agent is maybe looking for some coin. I hear you have a fair amount.
Well, we just came into some. We'd like to know a little bit more about who it is exactly that hired us out. Seems like we got involved with something a little bit bigger than our britches.
Sounds like, well, honestly, we may have a bit in common, then.
He goes, what do you know about this? And he flips over and grabs a piece of paper and turns it around and slides it across the desk to you. You pick it up, and it doesn't have a signing or anything like that, but it is on fairly well-made paper, and it is orders and a writ for a bit of activity to stir up trouble at the Transguild Promenade public display, to be paid for upon completion. Roll me a... We'll say an intelligence check. I'm sorry, I was trying to figure out what to roll. I had to DM face work it out.
Nat 20.
Nat 20. So you take a minute, and having seen one definitive proofing of her handwriting and other circumstantial potential evidences through the things, this does not appear to be written by Lady Vey.
Mm-hmm. But I don't recognize the...
You don't recognize the handwriting
handwriting paper.
beyond that. But you do know that it is not Lady Vey's handwriting.
Well, this is certainly an interesting job.
He goes, of course. Unfortunately, that writ never gave us protections against what happened to our people. So Rickig is currently on a job trying to procure safety and safe passage out of whatever facility that our men and our women have found themselves in.
Well, I maybe could be of some assistance. I'd like to pull out my Azorius law book. And
Right, yes.
I've been looking over a few things, and I think that hopefully we could maybe make some arrangements without making too many waves.
Kind of like gives you a once over. He's like,
I know a guy.
roll up your sleeves. Turn out your pockets.
Okay. As I roll up my sleeves, can I use minor illusion to cover my tattoo? Or change it to a different tattoo?
You can do sleight of hand to see that he doesn't see you doing so, because it does take like a hand gesture to do minor illusion. So go ahead and roll me a sleight of hand
I'll
check
shake
to
everything out
yeah.
and try to change it to just like a monster tattoo.
Oh.
Oh.
9.
9. He catches you about to do a gesture, and he's like, Be honest.
Fair enough. I will just drop my coat off and stand there in just my shirt and breeches and full tattoo blazing, but also swish my tail back and forth.
She's like, not what I expected there. Definitely not what I expected there. That's different.
In the interest of honesty, I'd like to present myself as I am. As I told you, I'm a free agent. I don't necessarily.
Free. He kind of looks over the tail. He's like, that tail definitely didn't come free.
It wasn't free, but it also, doesn't necessarily, obviously, guarantee my allegiance one way or the other. I have a.
I appreciate it. Tell you what. Rickig's taking care of our men that are captured. We need to find out who's actually responsible for our men taking on this job that obviously is a little bit more than we originally anticipated. So, you help us figure out what's going on. This point, the most that we've been able to figure out is those devices that you saw that started all this. There are some people who are working out of a workshop over off of 10th Street, up in Precinct 5, just above us.
Is that where the workshop they already visited was?
It is within this, probably the same district, but beyond that you wouldn't know. He says, how about this? You find us a way for potential legal counsel in case we have to actually properly write ourselves out of this. At this point, we've been able to maintain this establishment here and continue to operate out of it with no legal troubles. We don't want the Azorius trying to turn things around on us and claim the one thing we actually can have. So, you help figure out what's going on, offer us a bit of legal counsel, maybe a bit of cut of whatever it is you find whenever you go investigating whoever's responsible for all of us getting involved in this. And we'll see what we can figure out about this. Who was this woman that you said was attached to all this?
Yes, she goes by the name, currently, of Lady Vey. And, I'm not sure how she moves, where she moves, why she moves, or who she moves for, but I'd like to get a start on pinning her down.
Bab, write that name down. And he points over to the woman at the front. She's like, already doing it, sir. She doesn't have any terrible eyes at the last of her name.
I do think it's a V-E-I, actually. The way it sounded. I'm not sure.
Roll a deception check.
It's 14.
14. She's like,
she seemed pretty pretentious. It would be fitting.
well, you would know. She angrily scratches V-E-I into the ledger. She goes, tell you what, you come back to us with some actual information. You earned a good name here. We'll see what we can do about getting you some actual work.
Sounds lovely. I've been itching for something to do around here. There's a lot going on, and I feel like my set of skills are not being utilized to their fullest.
Here, if it helps. And he kind of grabs one and says, and I believe, and he kind of actively points out Korak and Thone and illuminates it through the club. He's like, I believe those three work for you, given your proclivity for having very hushed conversations in the middle of my club without actively looking around at who's listening in to you all. I think they work for you or with you as well. So here, and he kind of grabs out and he takes 4 of the coins that you had seen Dezez kind of like flashing around or whatever, and he hands you 4. He says, "Here, you can give 1 to each of your buddies.
They're talkers.
This
but
is how we were paid off for this job." And you take a look at them, and these are Azorius minted 50 Zib coins. Says, "I don't know who's over here flashing around Azorius money enough to pay us, but tough times are tough times. We'll take the job." But obviously, they had no intention of honoring their end of the deal and screwed us over. We'd happily return the favor to them.
You sound like a man after my own heart. And trust me, the other 3, they're talkers, but discretion is my strong suit, so.
Well, you weren't being very discretionary when you were having subterfuge conversations in the middle of my club. But that's okay.
I wouldn't call it subterfuge. It's, well, they're...
You also gave a horrifically fake
to
name to Bab over here. She just goes, "Honestly, Percy with an I, it's the worst. Work on your code names, sir."
My parents were very bohemian.
He's like, "Oh, I can tell.
Oh my goodness.
Get us some information. Figure out who's trying to play both our sides. We'll see what we can do for each other."
Absolutely.
Great. Bab, see that this man and his friends enjoy the rest of their evening. She goes, "Of course, sir. Whatever you say." As you try to like walk out, she goes, "I'm gonna need the names of all of your friends in the bar."
Of course. The big one there,
Which big one?
The big one over there with the lovely little flower crown.
Those are so cute.
It's
Oh my
adorable,
God.
isn't it?
I would love to dress up. As you can see, I'm the stylish one of the gang. Bats her eyes horrifically at you a few times.
Of course, I'm just... my breath is taken away by your beauty.
Thanks. Her breath is rancid and is not taken away.
The big one there with the flowers, they call him bismuth.
Bismuth?
Bismuth.
Bismuth?
Bismuth?
I
It's,
don't pretend to understand these elephant
It's
people
an
names.
elephant
It's a little
convention.
horrifying.
They're naming conventions.
Bismuth.
Mm-hmm.
Can you spell that out for me?
B-I-S.
B-I-S
M-U.
M-U
T-H.
T-H. Bismuth. Percy's still worse. What's the next one?
The other big one. The
other big
scarier looking one.
Yes.
They call him Solomon.
Solomon. Solomon. I'm not even going to ask how I could spell that. I spelled it, and that's how it is.
He's a solitary type.
Oh my god.
And what's this one over here?
The shifty-eyed one there, we call her Gentry.
Gentry.
Sure.
Love
Oh
it.
my god.
With an eye.
J
With a Y.
J-O-I-N-T-R-E-Y. Gentry. I love it.
Close enough.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you. I'll notify the boss that Bismuth, Solomon, Gentry, and Percy are on the case.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Your efforts are much appreciated.
And at this point, she kind of like holds up 2 fingers, and Spix runs and grabs her and brings her 2 glasses, and she takes one over to Gardigig and puts it on his desk, and she stands there back at her position with her little notebook at the ready. You may join the rest of your party.
Well, and I'll look at each of them in turn. Gentry, Solomon, Bismuth. I feel like we've had a very successful night here.
I'm sorry, what? Who's who?
And I'll quietly whisper to him, if you haven't caught on by now, we just play along until we're out of sight. So, if we, if y'all are thirsty, feel free to grab a few drinks, mingle, make some friends, or not. It seems to be getting a bit late.
Hold on. Percy, I saw that man give you money.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Real quick, roll a perception check for me, because we have to see if you actually saw that.
Fuck it.
No, you did not.
Can I do a deception check then, or no? Nah.
No, because you did not see it, unfortunately.
But if you'd like to know what we're up to tomorrow, I'll be outside. I need some fresh air. And I will make my way outside.
Okay.
I'm gonna follow you. I need fresh air.
Directly, okay.
I hate getting cramped up.
What time is it?
At this point, it is a number of hours. Like, it's like solid night at this point.
Okay.
Probably like 10 o'clock at night. By this point, you guys probably like got into the club around like 9 or so.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm
like 8 or 9 or
I
so.
have no business here, so I just follow them out.
I'm not paying for another inn, so I guess I'll just find some place to go.
As it, well, you all meet up outside.
Yeah.
Since you've been a delight.
Darrison leads
leave.
leads y'all a little bit of ways, probably about a block or two away, kind of like ducks into an alley. Everybody go ahead and make me stealth checks. Just
Ooh, I'm great at stealth.
Oh my god. Oh my goodness, what's up?
Natural 20!
Oh, that's what we need.
13.
Plus
5.
1, so 21.
18.
No, wait, no, I'm sorry, not 6, 8.
okay. Enough of the others are
Okay.
thing. Traditionally, it'd probably be like a little bit more stealthy, but at this point, you're just exasperated by the situation.
Yeah, I'm just like.
And you just need information.
Okay.
So you guys get there, and Luminita almost just like lets in as soon as everybody is there.
Right. Okay. Okay. This has been a long night, and okay. We still don't know where Lucian is, and that's concerning. But we will figure that out later. What did you say? What happened? I need to.
Okay.
Wait. Hold on.
Calm down.
Hold on.
Would this calm you down?
Okay.
And I will flash the 3
Ladies.
Electrum pieces.
Currency.
And I will hand one to Luminitza.
Thank you.
I will
Okay.
hand one to Korak, and I will hand one to Thone.
Okay.
Good.
I'm sorry,
Oh,
Gentry,
so
Solomon, and Bismuth.
Thank you.
Too
Which
much.
he has probably used this name for me before, so I'm probably known or like was this.
I've definitely made up names for you before.
Oh, and this
No.
is not one you've used before. This is a new one.
It could be.
Okay, fine. All right.
I made them up.
I just roll with it.
I
then, yeah.
like that name. Thank you.
Yes, I feel like it's a
Business.
strong name for
It's
you.
a type of rock. I'm good with rock.
Yes.
What kind of
You're
name
right.
did you give me? You think a Minotaur's gonna walk in with the name Solomon? What is
Look.
this?
Sorry, bud. I don't know a lot of Minotaurs. If I'm honest.
At least you're on. At least he's being honest.
So,
This is
you know,
the stupidest name I've ever heard.
I've had to think on your feet. I think it's a lovely name.
But
For
this
a human.
this is not important. None of this is important. We all use fake names. What the
I don't
hell
use a fake
happened in there?
name.
No,
Okay.
Why?
Well,
why would you not? Do you think Luminitza's my name? Do you think that's my real name?
Do you think I need to use fake names when I could just bash somebody's skull in? Like,
true. His muscles are very real.
His muscles are as real as his name.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm not the deception type. I'm the smash your face in. You think I need to use
Well-
fake
Okay, well, again.
Welcome
Nobody
to our
can
world.
say my
Yeah.
name, so.
Okay, so again, not important. None of this is important. What the hell did you tell? What's happening?
Okay. Mission
What-
Calm
debrief.
down.
Mission debrief. Do you need a drink? Do you want to go back?
No.
And okay. So
I've got a fly.
You just-
We-
no.
You need a drink.
we kind of, sort of. Well, let's put it this way.
Oh.
Percy, Gentry, Solomon, and Bismuth now work for the Shattergang brothers.
I'm sorry, what?
On a temporary basis. They know some things that we don't. They were hired out by the Azorius to cause trouble at Transguild
How
Promenade.
do you know it's Azorius?
Well, look at the coins
Yeah,
I just gave
the
you.
coin.
That doesn't mean anything. They're goblins. They take whatever they
You
want.
haven't dealt with Azorius very much, have you?
I've
This
dealt
money-
with goblins enough to know that they're not that smart.
Well, this guy seems smart enough to keep that place running and keep an entire gang operating outside of the law, outside of the guilds. So, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt for now. Obviously not enough.
In the ass.
I don't trust him enough to give him our real names. I'm not a fool.
And what job are we doing?
Exactly. I have bismuth. I am with him on this.
So, like I said, they were chartered by the Azorius to stir up trouble at the Transguild Promenade. That's what we saw the other day. And the ones who got arrested, currently Rickig, the other brother, is working on a way to get him out. We may have an angle there. Maybe we could do some favors. We'll see how Lucian's feeling tomorrow. But
Oh, no, I forgot about him.
the bottom line here is we need to find out. He wants to find out who's responsible because they may have paid for it, but they didn't offer any sort of protections, and they kind of screwed them over. So, the Azorius crossed the Shattergang brothers and enemy of my enemy, etc. Temporarily, they could be a group that could be leveraged to our advantage.
Well, I already don't like the Azorius, so that works.
Yeah, the Shattergang have it out for the Azorius currently. If we find out who's responsible, they could stir up trouble on that end. And I have, I don't trade in one-way favors. They're looking into this Lady Vey.
But you're saying the Azorius paid off goblins to disrupt Azorius things.
Well, to disrupt the demonstration, because we have a lot of people protesting against Udzek, and I guess they're trying to undercut the authority of the people by turning it into a riot and maybe
It's pretty smart.
kind of devaluing our cause here.
So who actually gave them this order?
That's what we're being hired to find out.
I actually am interested in that, and it is a smart strategy to, hire someone to disrupt something that you think you're in favor of. I mean, I've used that ploy before.
It feels like
Doesn't surprise me.
their needs and wants at the moment align somewhat with our own. We're trying to figure out what the Azorius are up to, so let's figure out what the Azorius are up to. Our
All right.
leads are lukewarm at best, so maybe explore new avenues.
Well, we have one big flaw in this plan. We have a gilded child that you have to convince to do this with.
I think Lucian's starting to warm up to us. I think he'll come around. If nothing else, we just implicate him in a crime and blackmail him.
I don't think you
What's
understand
Lucian's
Zaxos.
fake name?
I don't think that's how that works.
Still working on that one. I'll have one for him tomorrow.
Wait. There's 3 of us. You gave 3 names.
There's 4.
Well,
But there's
so
another one missing.
Awesome.
Yes,
Is that a
so-
flaw in the plan of your...
No.
as far as they know, we are not currently connected to Zilzaxos. I told them I have a man on the inside that could maybe help them from the legal side of things should their tactics not work out, but didn't elaborate on that. So
As
cross
you
that
don't.
bridge when we come to it. But as far as the events that have transpired today, treat yourselves to our advance on a new job. And if you come across any goblins or potential Shattergang members or just about anybody that you don't trust, Gentry, Percy, Solomon, Bismuth. Cool?
Hey,
I
I'm cool
don't
with
trust
it.
anybody. But
Well, now you have a name. See, that's the beauty of it, having different names and being able to go places.
again, this name fits more for a human. What Minotaur do you know that means Solomon?
This is a
I know at
weird
least
thing
one.
to be hung up on. I'm going.
I hate
going.
this name.
Somebody? Okay, we have to figure out. What's the next step?
I think
The information that you currently have, Darrison, is you have the location of Lady Vey's potential location, like the location that she gave you that you scouted out, and you also have now just been given a location within that general area within Precinct 5 of another warehouse that's potentially connected to this, that at least the Shattergang brothers have been able to suss out.
So there's a warehouse, another warehouse. Hopefully, maybe we don't sneak in the front door.
Let's sneak in the front door.
Okay.
It worked last time.
Did it?
Yes.
Okay.
For most of us, honestly.
No.
But
They'd never suspect it. Never suspect it.
there's
Genius.
there's a warehouse connected to the Azorius in some way, so we have a lead there. There's also Lady Vay's place up the street. I'd like to just get eyes on it just for a second. Obviously, I don't want to get mixed up in anything, but maybe we do a little walk by.
Sneak in, I got it.
Stay very clear of her house.
Don't
because-
sneak in, okay.
Yes. Excellent. See business catching on.
Well, hopefully my information is better than yours on this warehouse situation.
I'd hope so. I'm happy to accept any and all information that we can bring to the table, I think.
Okay, so where are we heading first?
And it's like, you said it's like 10, 11.
It's about 10 o'clock at night.
10 o'clock at night.
It's my
I think
It's Stone's bedtime, apparently. Or Bismuth's bedtime, excuse me.
Don't call me business.
Stone's bedtime. To be honest, the eco-terrorist here, I don't really want to piss him off.
He's too
And we have to,
ungrateful.
I think, as much as I hate to say it, we might need Lucian for some of this. Not for the scouting. Well, maybe. I don't know.
think-
Then he might get stabbed again.
I think
He's
you
very
and I
bad at
move well in
talking.
the shadows.
Mm-hmm.
We maybe just like I said, I just want to walk by. I'm not trying to get any of us killed here as much as you may not believe me, but I'm telling you, I'm
I
not
don't
trying to get
believe you,
anyone killed.
But we can still walk by. No one will notice me.
I was going to say maybe the two of you get a head start on the warehouse. You know, phone
Yes,
leading
please.
up
I don't
our
wanna deal
sneaking
with
efforts
this.
on that side, and Luminita and I maybe see what Lady Vay's been up to.
I like this plan, and yeah. So I'm cool with that, if you guys are cool with that.
Mm-hmm. Now, are you doing that this evening and
Or
like
this
pressing
evening.
on through the day, or are we gathering back together and doing so tomorrow?
What do you think?
I want to
I
stop
do
by.
have a job at some time that I have
I'm
to
gonna
do.
stop by Lady Vay's tonight.
Okay.
Under cover of night,
Okay.
and just get a look-see, and maybe we can check out the warehouse tomorrow.
Okay.
Hopefully, see what happened to Lucian.
I would think you would care a little bit more about Lucian.
I do. I want
Told
to find out
you,
what happened.
Lucian had this thing. I'm sure it's fine.
See, in Orzhov, a thing is not an actual that. Okay, never mind. I'll just ask Lucian.
No, what?
No,
What?
it's just
No.
we don't. Okay,
Well,
I'm
when
not
you-
gonna explain this, but whatever happened, Lucian doesn't just get called away. Lucian is part of a family that has so much power that he doesn't just get summoned unless there's a reason. And so whatever summoned him has some power, and I want to know what it is.
Is he
And
dead again?
He's not.
I told him not
I
to
really
get
hope not.
stabbed.
Actually, honestly, if he's dead, we are screwed. We
How
are
do you
fucked.
How are we screwed? We've done
Immortal.
fine without that whiny ass I got stabbed man.
You know,
I really don't think you guys understand what Zilzaxos is, but Thon's tired.
I'm
We have a
tired.
warehouse. We have an address to
My
check out.
flowers are wilting.
Looking very sad.
Very sad. I think we need some shadow time. I think that's what needs to happen. I need to be
absolutely. You guys have
disappeared.
been instrumental, and I really appreciate you guys being really cool with everything. So y'all deserve some rest.
We will
I
see.
did get you guys paid, so you're welcome. You
I
don't have to
didn't
say
ask
it, but you're
paid, but
welcome.
thank you.
And we meet at 800. I don't know how those numbers work.
8 in the morning is fine, but
Sure.
we have to figure out a location.
Sunrise, excellent.
Well, What
Before
tree are
or
you gonna
after
be at? Because I'm
sunrise?
assuming you're gonna just sleep in a tree.
Well, I can't climb
Well,
trees,
I mean,
but I'll
but
sleep
under the
underneath
tree.
it.
Okay. So where are you ending up? I don't know.
Wherever
if
the nearest tree is.
Okay. Well, I guess we could just meet him back at the nearest tree. I mean, he's
Sounds-
probably the only Lexodon in this area.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be hard to find.
It'll be easy to find. Just
So you guys are close to 10th Street, which would have a number of like inns and establishments and things like that. So it wouldn't be hard to find an inn establishment within 10th Street itself for you all to rest and like take the night off and then meet back up here within 10th Street itself. Since you all are heading north of 10th Street up towards Precinct 5
Okay.
for reconnaissance, as
Reconnaissance.
Darrison says it. So is this our game plan?
Our game plan is that we are going to check out Lady Vay's address under the cover of the night.
Okay.
We essentially just dismissed these two.
Okay.
Thank you for your patience.
I was totally stealth with you guys.
I
oh
know,
no.
but you're tired. You said this already, and you wanted
Yeah.
your flowers are wilting, and
That is true.
We want you well rested for all the sneaking
Exactly.
we'll do tomorrow.
We're gonna do so much sneaking.
Excellent.
Okay.
Glad to have you on the team.
yeah.
So our game plan is for y'all to head through, to continue pushing through the night, and y'all to rest up, and then everybody meet back tomorrow for debriefing and figuring out the next plan.
Right.
Great.
Sneak
Yeah.
about.
Well, that is where we will end things this evening. So we'll pick back up next week with Darrison and Luminitza doing some shady business in Precinct 5 as they go check out Lady Vay's location, or at least previously known location. Thank you guys so much for checking in with us this week. Again, make sure to follow, subscribe to our channel for all the content. Next week we will have the fabulous Lucian back, who will return with us and continue to explore what went on while he was away for this day.
Hopefully it
Um, Yes. Thank you guys so much for checking in with us. Again, we want to give a huge thank you to Svenny Baby for providing the music for us that will continue to play ourselves out as we close out this evening, as you guys continue wrap things up in chat. Please let us know down in chat how you liked tonight's episode. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to post those, and we will happily respond to those as we can. Other than that, don't forget, if you are still catching up on Color Guards, this Saturday we will have episodes 3 and 4 back-to-back playing for you for a special catch-up feature with myself and other members of the cast hopping in to chat that evening to help answer any more of your questions that you guys might have. Thank you guys so much for all your love and your support, and we cannot wait to see you guys next week. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.
But sometimes we never quit, even if the parts didn't fit. How many times was the ending in sight? But we struggled and we made it alright. We made it alright. We made it just fine. We made it alright. We made it just fine. Now the dawning is approaching, and I wake up alone. Waking up to in somebody else's home. Thinking back on that day, that was so long ago. Both looked up as we peered at the cosmos. The cosmos. simply wondering where my life went.